An official VA display including a Bible has prompted a lawsuit, and joining us now to talk about that lawsuit is founder and president of the Military Religious Freedom Foundation, Michael Weinstein. Welcome to the Damage Report.
Thank you. Please call me Mikey.
Mikey, thank you, and welcome to the show. Tell us about this lawsuit. What exactly prompted it?
Well, our foundation represents a little bit, around 64,000, give or take. It's always going up. Army, Navy, Air Force, Marine Corps members, active duty and civilians, and veterans. About 95% of our clients are actually Christians themselves that are being persecuted for not being Christian enough, as it were, John. In late January this year, we were reached out to by 14 veterans, 9 of them Christians, the others Jewish, Muslim, atheist, and agnostic, Native American, at the Manchester, New Hampshire Veterans Administration Medical Center. They were upset about the fact that a Christian Bible was placed on this revered POW MIA table. And we've been around 15 years, 14 or 15 years. We face these all the time. So I contacted a guy named Corey Beam, who was one of the senior staff people to the director there. He told me he was a former Marine, I guess. He totally understood. He sent me 3 hours and 1 minute later, they pulled the Bible off the table. He sent an email saying, you're right. Please tell your clients we're going to be more inclusive, clearly indicating that this was wrong. And we had a great victory. That we've had many of these. Within 2 or 3 weeks later, suddenly the Bible appeared over the weekend back on that POW table, this time with a force field around it, a plexiglass transparent plastic case that was bolted to the table, which is very much like, sticking the middle finger up to all other veterans. It's like a gang sign of, hey, we're in charge. We've never had a better example of fundamentalist Christian, domination, supremacy, triumphalism, exceptionalism than this. And we added a 15th client, who's the one, Mr. Jim Chamberlain, who became our plaintiff in the lawsuit that we just filed a few hours ago earlier this morning. And Jim is a devout Christian, a former Air Force pilot. But, you can't just put the Christian Bible on a POW MIA table in the building of an organization that would be called a state actor like the VA or the various branches of the US military. If you're Hobby Lobby or Chick-fil-A, John, not a problem. You're a private company. I don't happen to personally patronize those organizations or those companies, but they're private. The VA is a state actor, and you can't do that. The VA, by the way, John, recognizes, I think it's over 40 different religions for the headstones in their cemeteries. I recently buried my own father at a large VA cemetery here in New Mexico, and his grave has a Star of David on it because we're Jewish. But there are 39, 40, 41, 42 other religions recognized there, and the Department of Defense recognizes something like 220 to 240. So why would it be okay to put a Bible on this revered table and tell everyone this is for you, everybody? Because you see, it's not. This is not a complex case. So the VA told us to pound stand. We said 5 words to them. Tell it to the judge.
Yeah. So I'm curious. So I did a little bit of research on these displays. It's not something that I had been personally familiar with before. For people who might not be familiar with these displays, what purpose are they intended to serve, and what generally is supposed to be involved in these displays?
Well, there's our senior research director, Chris Rada, is one of the experts on this. These displays started with a group of military members during the Vietnam War, I think 1966. They were called the River Rats in Vietnam. And they wanted to come up with a way to very solemnly and in a sacred fashion recognize the contributions of our POWs and our missing in action. Some of our MIAs are never found. Yeah. And so they came up with a table. They had various symbols on the table, much like a Passover Seder. We have symbols on a Passover plate. There was never a Bible on any of these for nearly a third of a century until the very late 1990s, early 2000s, when I think the veterans, one of the ladies' auxiliaries for Veterans for Foreign Wars, one of the organizations decided to do it. And suddenly, I guess other people caught on, and we found this happening in a lot of places. We've seen them. We've had them reported to us on submarines, on aircraft carriers, on aircraft that are flying, military bases, VA hospitals, all over the place. Until I'd say the summer of 2016, when Trump became the presumptive nominee, we won most of these, and we still are winning a bunch of these. But we clearly saw an emboldenment of Christianity first. That Bible, that Christian Bible, is going to be good enough for you, Native American, for you Jewish member, for you agnostic, secularist, atheist. It's going to be good for everybody. And if you don't get it, then you are really victimizing Christians. And what I always say, John, to you baseball fans out there, when Jackie Robinson broke the color barrier in 1947, that was not white Major League Baseball player victimization. It was white Major League Baseball player equalization. Same with the feminist movement in the 70s, not male victimization, male equalization. The civil rights movement in the 60s, not white victimization, white equalization. And you cannot put your gang sign, your Christian Bible, on that sacred POW MIA table and say it's there for everyone, particularly when the VA itself represents scores of other religions and acknowledges them. How hard is this to understand? Why are we talking about this, I
believe that I understand it. Let me ask you a quick follow-up. In the cases, I mean, because you've had cases like this before where Bibles have been placed in these displays, you've had them removed. Have you had any cases in which, because they'll come up with a particular reason in any of these individual cases why this particular Bible needs to be there. Has that case been made to have a copy of the Quran or the Torah or some other, something by like I don't know, some evolution textbook? Has there been anything like that placed on the tables as well, or has it always been Bibles?
We've always come back saying, can you imagine in Manchester, New Hampshire, if they put Richard Dawkins' The God Delusion or Christopher Hitchens' God Is Not Great, kind of the Bibles of atheists or agnostics, as it were. Or if you put a Quran on there, there'd be blood in the streets. You ought to see the hate mail we have coming in the last couple hours or so about, you wouldn't do this if it was a Quran. Of course we would. But it's never a Quran or a Torah. I will tell you there's a US Air Force wing commander, I will not tell you his or her name, at a large military installation that commands a number of nuclear weapons. We had a situation about a year ago with his or her command, and that wing commander came back and said, you're right. He or she ordered the Bible off and replaced it, you're going to love this, with a generic book of faith, which had readings and some thoughtful statements from Jews, Christians, Muslims, Buddhists, Hindus, and a bunch of pages left intentionally blank for non-faith traditions. And it wasn't a perfect solution, but it was decent enough. And it was, they understood, this commander understood clearly the situation. We've had many VA centers and other military installations that pull it off, immediately recognizing we can't put that there. We can't put that there because that makes that a Christian entity. So we often get I often tell the media, and I'll say it right now, can you imagine if we put a Quran there, or the Book of Satan, or the manual, the revered text for the Jedi Church? We have 12 clients here that are members of the Church of the Jedi right out of Star Wars. We don't care about their philosophy or their faith. We only care about the time, John, place, and manner in which they feel they can deploy their faith. And as long as it's in accordance with the US Constitution, the construing federal and state case law, and all of the directives, instructions, and regulations of the Department of Defense and the VA, we're good. We're not good here. Like I said, This is the gang sign. You're flipping off the middle finger, particularly when you encase it and bolt it to the table, saying, go ahead. And, you're putting a chip on saying, knock it off. And 10 of our 15 clients in Manchester are already practitioners of the Christian faith, and our one named plaintiff, Mr. James Chamberlain, very courageously is a devout Christian. And our lawyers, the Nixon Vogelman law firm, Larry Vogelman, have a long history of supporting veterans' causes there. So we're very hopeful for this case.
Yeah. Well, Mikey Weinstein, thank you for joining us. We'll certainly be watching as this court case proceeds, and the best of luck to you.
And thank you guys for doing what TYT does. It's a voice of clarity out there in a jungle of hell. So we appreciate it.
Thank you, I appreciate it. I'm gonna have to put that as a subtitle in my book. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for watching this clip from The Damage Report. If you liked it, don't forget to subscribe to this channel and ring the bell on YouTube to get notifications of our new videos. And of course, you can catch the full Damage Report live every weekday at 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific on TYT Network on YouTube TV.